Hello, I'm live. Late, and that's my fault because I forgot that I was at an AGM, also an online, what would we call it? Online dating? I don't know. Online speed networking, I suppose what it's called. If you can't hear me, it's because my connection is unstable. So I apologise if that's going to cause an issue with us today. But I thought I was going to jump on anyway because I was going to earlier before my AGM thing. But I realised that I was really, really hungry. So couldn't make it on. And then I've seen that Wayne's messaged. So I was like, I need to jump on, quick snap, and be like, hello, how is everybody after the really windy weekend? I hope that it didn't cause too much of an issue. Let's have a look. We've got, oh, hi. Yes, we do. And you know what? If we click on this window, oh, hi. There we go. Oh, hi. It is Monday. It's the 21st of February. It's 1:30, and I'm just jumping on to say hello. It's sunny here, but it's still blooming windy after, who do we have? We had Dudley, we had Eunice, and we've now got Franklin knocking down the door. But he can't knock down our door because the gaps between the door and the wall are so big that it just comes straight in. So swings and roundabouts, doesn't it? It means that I've got a draft on my knee. How was your weekend? How's your Monday going? How's your week ahead looking? I think mine's quite busy. Doing something really exciting on Wednesday, but the person who it's exciting for, I messaged and they're not free, so I can't talk about it. So apologies for that one. Franklin woke me up at 4 a.m. Franklin needs to stop spying on you when you're sleeping. And what else have we got? So I've just been tweeted something from Tony. The village of Wales in Wisconsin was settled in the 1840s by Welsh immigrants. Wales is located around 30 miles west of Milwaukee off Interstate 94, around a 2-hour drive from Chicago. So there you have it. Wales isn't a country, a part of the United Kingdom on the island of Great Britain. Is that how it works? You get different diagrams as to what it's all about. It's actually 30 miles west of Milwaukee off the interstate. Well, who knew? And there is a big poster there, but I'm not just going to read that for you. Another place that's interesting. In fact, I read something the other day. Swansea, there are lots of different towns and cities called Swansea around the world because of how important Swansea's smelting works were. Yeah, did you know that? So there's a Swansea in Australia, there's a Swansea in America, and there's one somewhere else, and it's because Swansea, was it Copperopolis? I think it was that, and Llanelli is Tinopolis, because it was the industrial powerhouse of South Wales, because they found out that they could smelt the ore of different things, of different ores, really efficiently with the great coal that we had. And Helen making the point, there are a few Cardiffs too. My favourite Cardiff is a Cardiff that I've been to because it combines my love for Cardiff and also the sea and the West Coast, because you can go to Cardiff by the sea in California. I know. And it's lush. And it's exactly 1 mile away from To the Stars shop, which used to be called the Macbeth store. And it's where the guitarist of Angels and Airwaves and Blink-182, that's where his flagship store is. And I got to go there, traveling down to San Diego from Los Angeles, as I do. And yeah, I saw a sign for Cardiff by the Sea, and I was like, well, when am I ever going to be here again? I'm going to have to pull over and go to Cardiff by the Sea. And didn't have quad band on my phone, and there's a Starbucks there, so there's Wi-Fi. So was able just to catch up with people. So I had myself Starbucks, and then Google, because we had passed signs for Encinitas, and I was like, that's where I know where Tom DeLonge's from. And I was like, oh, the Macbeth store is like 1 mile in that direction. And so I went, and the guitar strap that's on, I don't think, I'd never played the electric on the Hello Tom Dyer Friday nights. But on my electric guitar, which is a Tom DeLonge Signatures guitar, the one that he plays in the, it's not the actual one, but it's that make and model, from All the Small Things, the sea green Fender Stratocaster. The guitar strap that I've got on that is a white strap, and it's got Macbeth stitched into it as well. And that is from the Macbeth flagship store. So that's my lasting legacy of being in California and Cardiff by the Sea. And the fact that Tom DeLonge probably sees daily Cardiff by the Sea actually makes me feel a bit warm and fuzzy inside. Love a Starbucks, free Wi-Fi abroad, and McDonald's. Subway do free Wi-Fi. Well, I did not know that. A few friends of mine, they go to McDonald's whenever they go on holiday to see what's different on the menu, just so they can try them out. I remember thinking, where did I go? Peru? Must have been. Oh my goodness, my mind's gone blank. Cusco. Was it Peru I went to? Well, my mind's gone blank. When I went to Machu Picchu, the McDonald's there, it was actually a bit of a letdown. However, it did have a delicacy from a restaurant in, like, off the main tourist drag in Peru, and we had the delicacy. I'm going to stick with Peru. It was Cusco. So if you know where Cusco is, you know where I was. And what do you think is the delicacy that they serve in Peru? I'm going to make a note of this, and I'm going to come back to it. What is the delicacy of Peru? Now, I know that there's going to be about 15 other people that know what this is, because they were there with me. Going back to California, though, I wish. Will Smith's book, which I don't have to hand because I've just kind of come live on a whim, but let's pretend that I've got Will's colourful face here. He's from Philadelphia, as we know, in West Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where I spent most of my days. Chilling out, Max, and relaxing, all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside of the pool. He went to Los Angeles because he made like a pledge to himself that, well, in fact, no, it wasn't even that. He was in Philadelphia, and then he started getting famous in the late 80s because him and Jazzy Jeff were like the bomb. Jazzy Jeff was actually the main attraction. Did you know that? It was DJs that were the main hype back then when hip hop was first breaking through in the 80s. The rapper, the MC, was like the bonus. Only because the technicalities of spinning different decks got so complicated that the DJs couldn't go on the mic as much as they used to. So they would have their MCs come on, and that's how the rapper got more notoriety than the DJs. But it was all about the DJs. It was about the skill of mixing and matching. So they were doing quite well for themselves. And then Will Smith flew to California, as you do when you've got lots of money, although the IRS, so it's like the tax service, did eventually catch up with him. And he was like, he landed and he just knew that he was home. Hello, Tracy. And he just knew that he was home. And I remember when I flew to California, and I've had the similar kind of feeling. Like, I'm very lucky I've been able to travel. I'm still paying off my credit card, but I've been able to travel, where I've been to California, and I've also been to Melbourne in Australia. And there's something about those places where I land and I'm just kind of like, oh, I could get used to this. Like, I feel really connected to this area. I feel really calm. I feel at peace. And I love where I love where I live now. But with Franklin knocking at the door, or if you tuned in earlier, him just sliding through the massive gaps in the door frame, it just makes you think, you know what? Do you remember that 2 weeks where I just woke up and I knew I was wearing shorts and t-shirt? I didn't have to think about, oh, I've got like 3 or 4 different coats. I've got a casual coat. I've got a waterproof coat. I've got a fleece-lined coat, and I've got my work coat. And what was so nice about being in California and Australia is like, what are you wearing today? I'm wearing shorts and t-shirt and a thin jumper. And for later on, I might have a hoodie or a jacket that I can just leave in the car. I didn't need 4 different varieties of coat. And when traveling down to San Diego, I got there. We were only there for like 4 hours. We went to the Gaslight Quarter, which is like a little bit further away from the football stadium, which is no longer used because the Chargers left. And yeah, I was just like, I am quite at peace with where I am now. I travel with about 5 coats in my car and different shoes depending on the weather. It sucks. I don't tend to change the shoes, but I feel your pain when it comes to the coats. It's just annoying. It's so annoying because I'm here now. I'm in shorts and t-shirt, and I've got this draft coming in on my knees. I don't want to draft. I just want to feel warm and content. But hey ho. But anyway, Will Smith, going back to Big Willie style. Tracy, I'm the same, Helen. Be prepared or prepare to fail. Ooh, that's a quote. That is a quote. And it's true, though, isn't it? It's why I've got different pairs of shoes. We've got a 4-tier shoe rack just because of the different weather types that we have here. But Will Smith, he didn't move to Los Angeles first. He was just there on holiday and he's meeting up with different people. He's bringing his manager with him, JL. He's got Omar as well that's with him. Jazzy Jeff, quite happy on the East Coast. He's a Philly boy. That's fine. Charlie Mack was back and forth as well. But he just felt this sense of peace and belonging that was great. And one thing I figured out with Will is that he kind of designed what he wanted his career to look like when it went from hip-hop, hitting rock bottom, and then Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came. And I don't know if I've told you this story last week, but how he got the role of being the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it was basically Quincy Jones invited him to, in fact, he met a guy called Benny Medina, who I believe became the producer on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And the story is basically about Benny. And really interesting. They exchanged names at like some place. There was a show that shot every night in Los Angeles, and Charlie Mack and Will Smith would head down there every day. Charlie Mack would be like, "Hey, you got to talk to my mate Will. You got to talk to my mate Will." He did this with everybody. Charlie Mack, Will owes a lot of like thanks to. And in fact, in the opening skit of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I got in one little fight and my mum got scared. The guy that's spinning him around is Charlie Mack. And if you listen to Will Smith's album, Big Willie Style, I think it is that. It's the first time he did without Jazzy Jeff. There is a lyric in there that's got Charlie Mack got my back. And he's talking about Charlie Mack, like he's a real life person. And head of security, basically the biggest, tallest mother that you know. That's how he got the job. And so Charlie Mack would bring all these people down, and like people talk about networking, is it who you know or what you know? And Charlie Mack's like, "Oh, Benny, you got to meet my boy Will. You got to meet my boy Will." Everyone knew who Will Smith was. He won the first ever rap Grammy, the first ever one, and they boycotted it because they weren't going to televise it. And then he won another one, and he didn't end up going. Jazzy Jeff did though, so that's good. So Benny was there. They had like literally 5 minutes. I'm Will. I know who you are. My name's Benny. I'm with Warner Brothers at the moment, but I'm going to be doing this soon. And you know, Hollywood. So I was like, yeah, great. Fist bumps, hugs, yeah, fab. I'll never hear from you again. But he did hear from him again. And Benny got in touch and he was like, "What are you up to?" And he'd gone back out on tour to try and start repaying some of this IRS money. If you owe taxes on $3 million, it's quite a bit. And they were like, "You need to come to Quincy Jones's birthday." Like Quincy Jones lives in Beverly Hills. Will Smith was in Detroit. And JL, his manager, I think he still might be his manager as well, shoved him on a plane. He was like, you need to go. Your show's not until tomorrow. You're going to this party. So he went to Quincy Jones's birthday, and Benny was there. And Quincy Jones had valet parking for his house. That's how big his house is. There's all these people there, and Quincy Jones, master of ceremonies, he sees Will, and he was like, "Everybody, the Fresh Prince is here." It was like Will Smith was still, what, 19, 20 years old at this point. You got Quincy Jones shouting your name, and Benny was there, and so was the head of the network. In fact, 2 heads of network from, is it NBC that put on Fresh Prince in the end? Whoever it was, they were there, and Quincy was like, "Will." In fact, they were like, "Benny, where's that script we've been working on?" The script writers were there as well. It was like Quincy had orchestrated this, and they knew they wanted Will Smith to do it. And he was like, "You got an audition right now. Clear away the tables and the chairs." And everybody was there pushing and pulling. And it was like, "What do you do? You're in the middle of Quincy Jones's Quincy Jones's house, and he's just called for an audition. Will was like, no way. And Quincy taught him a lesson there and then. He called him aside and he was like, give us 10 minutes. And he was like, you've got the head of programming here, you've got the writers here, you've got the other guy that's got like the ultimate yes or no. They're in this room right now. And if you say you need 7 days to prepare for this, those 7 days are going to come, and then the head of programming is going to say, oh, actually, something else has come up in one of our international districts. I need to fly somewhere else. So we need to rain check where you need to go next week. And then next week comes along, and then one of the writers is unavailable. They're not available for another 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, 3 weeks to a month has gone by. And Quincy was like, they are all in this room right now. And it's seize the moment. It's all about, you just got to jump in and take the opportunities as they arise. And this was a golden opportunity. And Will started cotton on it. He was like, give me 10 minutes. And he did it. And it was like a 15, 20-minute riff off of all these different scripts and scenes and phrases that had been written for him that he'd never seen before. He did it completely cold. And at the end of it, because Will, being an MC freestyler, he could ad-lib on cue. And he'd been doing this on the streets of Philadelphia for a couple of years now with Jazzy Jeff, and he was always quick-witted. He'd spent so many years honing this craft of how to freestyle and how to MC, and so he was able to run the crowd. It was no different to going on tour with Jazzy Jeff, essentially. And at the end of it, they're all in fits of laughter. Will Smith has come out; he's blown out of the park, and Quincy, fair play to Quincy, he was like, he made sure that a lawyer was at the party, and he was like, "Hey, come here. We need to sign a memo of intent." And so that night, a memo of intent was drafted up, and then Will needed legal representation as well. And his lawyer, who is still his lawyer to this day, was in hospital. His wife was giving birth to their child, and he left. I wonder if they're still together. But they left, and he went to the party. He represented Will and got him paid up for these episodes of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to get the pilot done. So this was only for the pilot. And he's still is listed these days. That night he flew from Detroit, nearly missed his opportunity by Dilly Dally, like, give me a week. He seized the moment. He put on a show. He made everyone feel warm and inviting. He had Quincy Jones on his back, and everything was signed that day. And this was in March, and by September, like this, apparently this never happens, that you have such a quick turnaround. Usually when you get to a pilot, you've got the writers, you've got the casting, you've got the workshops, blah, blah, blah. It can take like anywhere from a year to 18 months to 2 years to get a pilot. Between March and September, it was the audition to the pilot being aired. It was that quick. And the reason why he became Will Smith in the show, as well as in real life, is because of Alfonso Ribeiro, Carlton, said, you need to have your own name on this show because people are going to be remembering it forever. And so it's Alfonso that we've got to thank for the fact that that we've got Will Smith from West Philadelphia, born and raised, because otherwise he could have been just called another character from the thing. Street in Philadelphia is a whole other song genre. I don't know what you mean, Tracy. Street in Philadelphia is a whole other song genre. Oh, I don't know. And then so Will, he didn't go to college because his hip hop started taking off, and all of a sudden he found himself with Shakespearean actors, James Avery. He found himself with Carlton, who had gone through all these. That wasn't meant to be there. Okay, that's fine. Alfonso Ribeiro, dance, acting. He'd gone through the whole shebang. Aunt Viv, the first one, she was on there. She was like proper dance trained. And even Ashley, the younger cousin, because she was very young. I think she was only 16 when it started, wasn't she? She had more training than Will as he came on to take on the pivotal role. And only Hillary was kind of comparable to Will. And they put that show on. And he's kind of glossed over James Avery, Uncle Phil, in the book so far, but you never know. We've just got to the release of Independence Day, which completely smashed box office records. It's just really cool reading this story. In fact, Jaden's just been born, actually. is where we're at the moment, and he's still my favorite person. It's funny reading a book that's so kind of written by someone just talking about their thoughts, because I've read other autobiographies, but I don't know, you get the sense that he's telling you a story with this one. So do I. Like, I think I mentioned on last week's video, I've read Graham Norton's, I've read a few footballer ones as well. I think, did I read Jonathan Ross's? But I read them, I used to read them a lot, and I moved into kind of business and self-help books. And this book actually is coined as an autobiography, self-help. That's what it says there. Because at the end of each kind of chapter, he's got the lesson, he's got the meaning as to why he shared this story with you. And it's just so fantastic as to what you're finding out. And talking of finding out, there's a person who I don't know anything about, and I really wish that I did know more about him. So I'm only going to mention him in passing because he seems like someone that is or was inspiring. Sadly, he passed away the early hours of yesterday morning. Jamal Edwards, and a lot of the artists that we know in the charts at the moment, including Ed Sheeran, Dave won a Brit Award as well. Loads of acts that came through the ranks through a platform called SBTV. Jamal Edwards was the creator of that, and he basically filmed people and shared them on YouTube. He wanted them to have a platform, and from what I'm seeing from all the dedications to him, he was adored. And as Tracy's saying, his mum is one of the loose women. I saw a statement from her as well today, and there was just so much love for him, and he impacted so many other people's lives. He didn't want any of the limelight, and after a short illness, he very sadly passed away. And just reading some of the dedications on Twitter is just fantastic, and it just makes you want to live that a little bit more with sharing other people and trying to lift other people up as much as you can. And like, I think that if there's a legacy that Jamal can leave, it's hopefully that others will pick up the mantle that he had, and they won't be so reliant on the individual to do it, and we just start picking each other up, which would be fantastic. Craig Revel Horwood's book is brilliant, moving, and hilarious, so I'll add that to my list as well, because I do love a good book. And on that note, with being inspired by Will Smith and of Jamal, people that we don't know that are being inspiring every single day, I'm going to leave you with that thought, and maybe we can all lift each other up a little bit more whilst pursuing our own kind of goals and what we're up to. But thank you for joining me a little bit later than usual. But of course, you can watch back whenever you like anyway. So enjoy the rest of your week. I hope that the storms don't blow you too far this way and that way, and that you're doing well. And I'll speak to you all again very soon. And I'm wearing the jumper, so I might as well say it. You are extraordinary. So enjoy. Mwah. Lots of love.